Breaking news first at 5. The state will seek the death penalty for Casey Anthony after all. Good evening, I'm Mike Garofalo.
And I'm Laura Diaz in for Jacqueline London. Prosecutors have changed their minds, deciding late this afternoon to seek the death penalty for Casey Anthony for the death of her daughter, Kaylee. We have live team coverage this afternoon of the breaking developments. Tony Pipitone, he's here with what this means for the case and why this reversal. But first, let's go to Adam Longo at the Orange County Courthouse. Good afternoon, Adam.
Hi, Laura. Good afternoon. These new court documents just filed within the past hour and a half from the state attorney's office. The notice of intent to seek the death penalty against 23-year-old Casey Anthony. This, of course, a 180-degree turn from a waiver to seek the death penalty that was filed by this exact same state attorney's office on December 5th. Of course, Kaylee's body was found just 6 days later. So in these documents, you can see that it's pretty short. It's just 2 paragraphs long. There isn't a lot of explanation here, but it does say the following. I'm going to read this to you verbatim, that based upon additional information that's become available since the waiver of intent to seek the death penalty, sufficient aggravating circumstances exist to justify imposition of the death penalty. So we don't know at this point if that new information simply is the fact that Kaylee's remains were found 6 days after that waiver on December 11th, or if there's some other aggravating circumstances and some other information that has become available to the sheriff's office, to the state attorney's office, but it just has not been turned over yet in the course of discovery. Now, if we can bring in my colleague Tony Pipitone, this actually brings an interesting twist to this case now, Tony, because once the death penalty was on the table, we know and we have reported before that lawyer Jose Baez is not certified to be the lead attorney in a death penalty case, but also, we know that he has other attorneys that have joined him, Linda Kenny-Bott and Todd Macaluso. We don't know if they are death penalty certified. There was an attorney working for the defense named Terry Lenneman, who's from Miami, who they have since not parted ways with, but said he was going to come on to seek, if the death penalty was on the table, he was going to be involved in that. So, Tony, this really kind of changes, it has to, the defense whole strategy.
Yeah, to be a lead counsel in a death penalty case in Florida, you have to have tried 9 serious and complex cases to completion and been trial counsel or co-counsel on 2 death penalty cases. And Jose Baez, as far as we know, has not been a counsel or co-counsel on 2 death penalty cases. So that would mean that he could not be the first chair, the lead defense attorney in a death penalty case. But, of course, he could stay on the defense team. Now, Adam, you talked about what could have come to light since December 5th, when the state had decided not to seek the death penalty. And, of course, you mentioned the body had been found. But they need more than that. They need to have a good faith belief that the death was cold, calculated, and premeditated. That's one of those aggravating factors. And since then, of course, they found Jose Baez's client was indicted with the murder, but they found the body with the duct tape on it. And they've also been looking at evidence found near the body and whether or not it could be related to chloroform that was found in the trunk of Casey's car. All this coming together out of the eyes of the public right now as the state has been getting reports back from the FBI, at least 13 submissions to the FBI laboratory, including some of the stuff found near the skull of Kaylee Anthony. Also, we know, of course, that they're alleging aggravated child abuse occurred in the course of this murder. That's an aggravating factor. The child being under 12 years old, that's an aggravating factor. You can check that one right off. But was the crime especially heinous, atrocious, and cruel? That is another aggravating factor. And the state attorney, Lawson Lamar, meets with his prosecutors. They go over this list of, I think there are 13 or 14 of those aggravators, and decide, do they believe they can prove this beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury? And obviously today they have decided they believe they can.
Well, Tony, I got a question for you. Was this expected that the state would, in fact, seek the death penalty? I know they had mentioned they were not going to, and now they are. Was this an expected move on their part?
It's a new game once that body was found and all the evidence found with it. So we did expect that we would hear again from them whether they would seek the death penalty. Another possibility here is that they could use the death penalty and say, Casey Anthony, we now are going to go for death unless you plead guilty to life in prison. That's always a possibility as well.
All right. Thanks for the information, Tony. Meantime, Casey's parents, George and Cindy Anthony, have announced their first sit-down interview since Kaylee's remains were found. The Anthonys have reportedly agreed to give Oprah Winfrey the exclusive. The show says George and Cindy will talk to Oprah about the case, the investigation, and no doubt their thoughts about their daughter being charged in this murder. The show, by the way, is scheduled to air next month.